Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. In this video, we're going to show you how to troubleshoot the top 8 reasons why your refrigerator is too warm. Stick around to the end of the video for an important tip that can help save you money. But before we begin, we're going to make sure the appliance is unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. Also make sure you turn off the water supply underneath the sink. First thing we need to look at is the defrost timer. It controls the defrost cycle of the refrigerator. The defrost timer is made up of a motor, gears, and contacts. It switches the refrigerator between the cooling and defrost cycles and helps keep the evaporator free of ice buildup. They have a set number of hours for cooling and minutes of defrost. As an example, this one will run for 8 hours and defrost for 30 minutes. Defrost timers are usually mounted in the control section of the refrigerator, but on older models, they may be behind the kick panel. If the defrost timer fails, the evaporator will freeze up, preventing cold air from being circulated to the fresh food section. In order to check and see if the timer motor is advancing, you can mark the shaft of the timer and then check later to see if it's moved. If it didn't, then the motor or gears have failed and the defrost timer will have to be replaced. You can also manually advance the timer with that center shaft. Use a flat blade screwdriver to advance the timer. It will click as you do. Then it will make a louder click as it goes into defrost. When you're in defrost mode, the compressor should stop running and the heater should come on. In order to find out, you'll have to temporarily turn the power back on. You must do this when the freezer compartment is cold. Do not try it on a fridge that's been unplugged at defrost, otherwise the defrost thermostat will not let the heater come on. In order to tell if the heater is working, you'll have to access it behind the back wall of the freezer. After about 1 to 2 minutes, you should be able to feel the heat from it. If the heater doesn't come on, then do the checks for the heater and the thermostat in the upcoming sections. If those parts check out okay, that usually means the contacts inside the timer are bad and won't send power to the heater. If the contacts are bad, then the defrost timer will have to be replaced. If you need to order a part, simply go to AppliancePartsPros.com and type in your model number. Find your part on the easy-to-read diagrams and match it to the number below. Click on the part if you want to see more pictures of the item or watch its repair video. You can also scroll down to see DIY stories from customers like you, or ask a question in the Q&A section. Once you're ready, you can add the part to your cart. It's that easy. Most orders will arrive within 2 business days. Now we need to check the defrost thermostat. It's a safety device that shuts off the defrost cycle if the freezer gets too warm. Defrost thermostats cut the power off to the heater if the temperature gets too hot. This is so it doesn't get too hot in the freezer section and starts melting the frozen food. They usually have a temperature rating stamped on them to tell you what temperature they turn the power off to the heater. Depending upon the manufacturer, it could be either in Fahrenheit or Celsius. Sometimes they're marked with a C or an F, and sometimes they're not. They vary in temperature, so check your thermostat to see what it's rated at. This one's rated at 6040 Celsius. That means it shuts the power off at 60 degrees Celsius and turns the power back on when it cools down 40 degrees Celsius below that at around 20 degrees. Once the temperature goes below that, the power to the heater is restored. The thermostats are usually mounted behind the back wall of the freezer section on the evaporator. If the refrigerator is too warm, it could be that the thermostat has failed and power isn't being sent to the heater. To test it, first make sure the thermostat is colder than the reset temperature. It's best to test it in the freezer so it's right around 0 degrees Fahrenheit to be sure it's under the reset temperature. In order to see if the part can carry an electric current, we have to test it with a multimeter set to continuity. Once you have it set, touch the probes together to make sure it's working. Depending upon your design, you may just have to unplug the wiring harness and touch a probe to each terminal. If not, you would have to cut the wires to make sure the thermostat is removed from the system and then test each wire. Touch a probe to each terminal or wire. If the thermostat has continuity when it's cold, then it's fine and you can splice and seal it back in. If it doesn't, then it's failed and needs to be replaced. Next thing we need to look at is the defrost heater. It's what heats up to melt the ice buildup off the evaporator. There have been many different styles and shapes of defrost heaters, but they all do the same thing. They heat up during the defrost cycle to melt the ice off the evaporator so the refrigerator cools efficiently. They're usually mounted behind the back wall of the freezer section, along the sides and bottom of the evaporator. If your refrigerator is too warm, the heater may have failed. Once you have access to the heater, we'll have to test it for continuity. Remove the wires and touch each end with a test probe. If it doesn't have continuity, then the heater is bad and needs to be replaced. Now we need to look at the defrost temperature sensor. It tells the control board the temperature by the evaporator. Defrost temperature sensors are white plastic sensor bulbs. They tell the control board the temperature during the defrost cycle and shut the power off to the heater if it gets too warm. Temperature sensors are often used in multiple places in the fridge, but here we're specifically referring to the one in the defrost system. These sensors are usually mounted behind the back wall of the freezer section on the evaporator. If the defrost temperature sensor is failing or is completely failed, it could prevent the refrigerator from defrosting, which would block the airflow and make the refrigerator too warm. In order to test the sensor, we need to remove it from the system. Just like the defrost thermostat, you can follow the wires back to the nearest connection point to see if it unplugs, otherwise you may need to cut it out. Once you have access to either the wire harness or the individual wires, you'll need to check the ambient air temperature. In our case, it's 73 degrees Fahrenheit. The sensor will have a different ohms reading depending upon the temperature, so you'll have to look at your tech sheet to see what it should read. Our sheet says about 5,400 ohms at 73 degrees Fahrenheit. So set your meter to ohms. Our meter automatically detects whatever ohms are coming in, but you may need to set your meter to read the proper ohm level. Touch the probes to the wiring harness pins or bare wires, whichever you have, and check the ohms reading. It should be close to the one specified in your tech sheet. If it is, you can reinstall it, but if the reading's way off or you're not getting a reading at all, you'll have to replace it. Next, we'll look at the cold control. It's the control you set the refrigerator temperature with. Cold controls have been used for many years. They have a shaft for the knob to mount on, a sensor bulb that senses the temperature, and a body which has the contacts inside of it. Most also have 2 wire terminals. They're usually located on the control panel, mounted right behind the control knob. If your fresh food section is too warm, it could be that the cold control is bad. As the refrigerator gets warmer and colder, the fluid in the sensor bulb expands and contracts. The contacts inside the cold control are open and closed by the pressure created in the sensor bulb. If you notice that the compressor isn't coming on and the fridge is getting warm, it could be that the contacts inside are stuck. As a simple test, while the refrigerator is running, you can try knocking on the aerator on the knob to see if that'll break the contacts free. If it works and the refrigerator starts cooling again, that's a good indication that the contacts are sticking together and the cold control needs to be replaced. If it didn't work, make sure to unplug the fridge again before you move on. In order to test the cold control, you'll have to open the control section and remove the wires. Depending upon the design, you may have to remove the knob and screws to get to the wires. You want to make sure the cold control is in the off position. Then touch a probe to each terminal. It should not have continuity in the off position. Then turn the control on. It should have continuity when you have it in the on position. If the control fails the continuity test, it'll have to be replaced. The last part of the control to check is the sensor bulb. Over time, they can rub against something or just fail and start leaking. If you see any damage or indications of oily residue along the bulb or where it mounts to the body of the control, then it'll have to be replaced. As always, guys, hit those like and subscribe buttons now to help support us making more of these videos. Now we need to look at the temperature sensor. It tells the control board the temperature inside the refrigerator. Temperature sensors are white plastic sensor bulbs. They tell the control board the temperature inside the refrigerator section so it can run the compressor as needed to maintain the desired temperature. Temperature sensors are often used in multiple places in the fridge, many times behind the back wall, inside an air duct, or behind an access panel. If the refrigerator is too warm, it could be that the temperature sensor has failed or is reading out of its normal range and the control board thinks it's colder than it really is. In order to test the sensor, we'll need to remove it from the system. Most times you can just unplug it, so follow the wires back to the nearest connection point to see if it unplugs. Otherwise, you'll have to cut it out for testing. As long as you have access to the plug or the bare wires, you may just be able to leave it in the fridge for testing. Once you're ready to test it, you need to check the ambient air temperature. In our case, it's about 73 degrees Fahrenheit. The sensor will have a different ohms reading depending upon the temperature, so you'll have to look at your tech sheet again to see what it should read. Our sheet says about 5,400 ohms at 73 degrees Fahrenheit. So set your meter to ohms again. Touch the probes to the wiring harness pins or bare wires, whichever you have, and check the ohms reading. It should be close to the one specified in your tech sheet. If it is, you can reinstall it, but if the reading's way off or you're not getting a reading at all, you'll have to replace it. Next, we need to check the evaporator fan motor. It circulates the cold air throughout the refrigerator. There are many different styles of evaporator fan motors, but they all work the same way. They're small electric motors with a shaft that rotates a fan blade to circulate the air. On most models, the evaporator fan motor is located in the freezer by the evaporator, but on some of the newer models with evaporators in both the freezer and fresh food sections, they can be located in both places. Constant exposure to cold temperatures and moisture can slowly destroy the motor bearings, which can cause them to seize up and prevent the fan blade from spinning. If the refrigerator is too warm, it could be that the motor has failed, either mechanically or electrically, and isn't circulating the cold air around to keep the fresh food section cold. Once you have access to the motor, you want to make sure it spins freely. If the motor is jammed up or doesn't spin freely, then the bearings are bad and the motor needs to be replaced. If it seems to spin okay, then we'll have to test it for continuity. So set your meter to continuity again. If you have a wire harness, you can unplug it. Otherwise, use a small flathead screwdriver to remove the wires from the terminals. Then touch a probe to the terminals in the wire harness plug or on the motor. If the motor doesn't have continuity, it'll have to be replaced. Last thing to look at is the air damper. It controls how much cold air gets circulated in the refrigerator. There have been many different designs of air dampers used over the years, but they all do the same thing. They have a small motor and a door that opens and closes to control how much cold air is let in from the freezer. Air dampers are usually located in a divider wall between the freezer and fresh food sections. If the refrigerator is too warm, it could be that the damper has failed in the closed position. Usually this means the motor or gear has failed, or the door linkage is broken, and the door isn't moving, even if the motor's working. If you think air circulation is the problem, you should first check to make sure that the damper didn't get ice built up on it. Also, if you have them, check the lower vents to be sure they're not blocked or iced up. Once you have access to the damper, you'll have to inspect the air damper door for any damage. If it's damaged, you'll have to replace the whole assembly. If the door is fine, we'll have to test the motor for continuity. Most air dampers have a wiring harness that you'll have to unplug. Because there are so many different designs of damper motors, you'll have to check your wiring diagram to see which wires to test. Our example has two circuits, one for open and one for close, so we'll have to test them both. Once you determine which wires to test, touch the probes to the matching wire harness pins. It should have continuity, otherwise you'll have to change it out. On some of the newer models, you can use the tech sheet to test the damper. Yours might be different, but in this example, you'd use the damper operation test. If the damper fails the test, it'll need to be replaced. Now here's that money-saving tip we mentioned earlier. If your freezer compartment isn't getting as cold as they used to, and your ice cream's getting soft, it could be that your condenser coils are dirty. Dirty coils can cause the freezer to run warmer than normal if the condenser and other components are covered in dust and pet hair. Dust and pet hair can insulate the coils, preventing them from working efficiently. This can also make the refrigerator run more and cause wear and tear to those components. Keeping the coils clean can improve your refrigerator's efficiency by 30%, so doing this can save you money on your electric bill and future repair costs. In order to clean them, you'll have to pull the refrigerator out and remove the rear access panel. Then carefully clean the coils. Keep in mind that some may be accessed from the front. You may have to use a condenser cleaning brush to reach in there. Also, while you're back there, clean the compressor, condenser motor and fan blade, and wipe down everything else. Be sure you're careful not to damage anything, and make sure you do this at least once a year. Once you take care of the problem, you can plug the appliance in, turn the water back on, and take it for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another troubleshooting video brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons now, and if you have any questions or want to share how your repair went, leave a comment down below.